Hello there. Good afternoon to everyone. And this is our new series of our podcast, Safely Speaking. And today we have a different, wonderful guest. His name is Wilson Kehla, and he is a very experienced health and safety professional, very passionate guy about his profession and what he does. He is as well a volunteer in Irish UAE community, as well as he supports initiatives and a special community Cameroonian professionals in health and safety here in UAE. And as well, he has lots of years of experience, which is very valuable for what we do. So we can share and exchange our ideas and what we've learned through our years of our professional journey. So welcome, Wilson. I'm really happy to have you here today. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for the introduction, Alicia. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you to talk about health and safety. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today. And today, actually, we have a very interesting topic and a very critical one, I would say, very important. Today, we will speak about subcontractors, because currently across all the business areas and industries, this is very significant part of our business when we use suppliers and we use different stakeholders who help and support us to deliver the good services and products to our customers. So I believe each of the organizations, one way or another, they use subcontractors in a way. So this is a very specific topic, but it makes sense actually to share your experience about this one. So let's start probably from the very beginning. So why do you think the subcontractors management is crucial and important for the business, and what effects and cause it might have if there is a poor safety performance of subcontractor?
Yes, thank you once more again, Alicia. So before I answer that question, first of all, I want to establish who is a subcontractor. It's very important for us to understand who is a subcontractor. A subcontractor, it can be an individual or an organization that is hired by a client to do a specific task. So it means that subcontractors, they are more specialized with specific high-risk activities based on my experience and my exposure in the health and safety field. So some of the activities which subcontractors carry out include electrical work, plumbing work, mechanical works, working in confined spaces. So you see that these are tasks that most clients, most main contractors, they are not specialized in carrying out those activities. So it is very important that these subcontractors are carefully selected and managed throughout their time in while they are carrying out their activities. So, of course, it's very evident that one of the main reasons why it is very crucial to manage subcontractors is to prevent accidents. This is what we all want. We all want everyone to come to work and go back home safe. That is why we do what we do. That is why you see health and safety professionals in the site. Aside from preventing accidents, we know that the client has a legal responsibility as well to secure everyone in their premises, because they have the ultimate health and safety responsibility towards everyone, not only the subcontractors, the visitors as well, and the members of the public. The next thing I would like to highlight as well is difference in safety standards. We know that subcontractors, they move from different clients across the country. So with this exposure, they are exposed to different safety standards. Some might be good, some might not be all the best. So it is very important that we bring them in line with the safety requirements of the project which we are hiring them to execute. Another thing is the safety culture, which is almost similar to the safety standards which they have been exposed to as well. We need to verify and understand the safety culture for that the subcontractors they currently hold within their organization. And of course, another very important reason why it is crucial to manage subcontractors is the aspect of risk management. And in terms of risk management, we know that they are specialized in carrying out mostly high risk activities, which should be carefully monitored. And then we also have aspects like competency, training and verification that they are actually competent in carrying out these activities. And then we also have to make sure that while they are carrying out these activities, they have accountability, they have the required documentation. And then, of course, we need to see how we can monitor them and improve their performances as well while they are carrying out these activities that they have been contracted to do. And for some of the causes of poor subcontractor management, based on my experience, which I have seen, the first thing is the safety culture and the management for these subcontractors. If you are not safety oriented, it's going to reflect in their activities at site. If they don't have a good leadership, it's going to reflect in how their workers operate at site. This is the first and very important aspect which I'm trying to highlight here. And the next thing is about the standard which the subcontractor they are complying to.
Yeah,
I'll
you're
give you an
absolutely right.
example. Yes,
Yeah,
I'll give you an
actually,
example.
especially about the commitment and focus orientation which you mentioned. This is very critical because actually based on the business decisions and risks, you're right that people and organizations quite frequently hiring subcontractors specifically to perform and share the responsibility for some critical activities where they don't want to affect
Yes,
their own employees directly, but they hire someone else who is a specialist, which actually helps to reduce kind of responsibility from the organizations. But at the same time, you're still responsible for who you're hiring for, right? And the job you provide them. So
absolutely.
if you don't have a proper focus on how you want them to do this job as well, organizations are still responsible in front of the clients, right? So even though the job might be subcontracted to some other companies and parties, it's still the direct responsibility in front of the client. So they don't care who is doing this job. You are the supplier in this case for them, right? So, and they are very interested. So you do the right things in place. And even though you're trying sometimes to save money or you save, I don't know, rid of responsibility, you still actually need to ensure that everything goes in the right direction. And there is as well a huge business impact in my eyes in this, because it's not just about money. For sure, you're still directly responsible for the people you're hiring. As well, it might, if any significant accidents might happen, then you can lose the client. You can get the business ban. You can be penalized from authority. So there are lots of impact might be in place if something goes wrong. So that's why it's very, very critical to control this dedicated area, even though it's not completely under your scope or under your responsibility, but it still must be managed the right way by you, so you are aligned, you'll focus on the same things, you have the same expectations about safety performance, you all understand where each of the responsibility and accountability starts and stops between you as a stakeholders. This is really important. Thank you.
Yes.
You already touched point about the competency and some other things, what needs to be evaluated. So can you share your personal experience about how to choose the right subcontractor, how to ensure that they are good enough? So any specific tools or systems or like advice from your side, so we can share something with safety professionals, how they can improve their I would say screening, and how they can ensure that they actually pay attention on the right things, and they took the decisions for the best options they might have in place, and what they need to pay attention on during the stage of the tender and when they're choosing the subcontractors.
Yeah, actually, I would say managing subcontractors starts from the selection process. It is very important that we select the right subcontractor, because if we are not able to select the right subcontractor, we are going to get a lot of difficulties trying to manage them outside. So in terms of selecting the right subcontractor, I would say there are different tools that can be used. There are different methodologies that can be used, but for this session, I've just summarized them into three simple steps. And the first step has to do with using a pre-qualification process. The pre-qualification is like a checklist, a point-based system where we have different criterias, and these criterias they are allocated different points based on the health and safety requirement as much as they are being met by these subcontractors. At the end of this process, they are going to get an overall score, and based on our company standards, we will know if we can go with them or not. So it's like a vetting system. So some of the requirements on this pre-qualification, we have first of all the health and safety policy of the subcontractor. We have examples of their risk assessments and their method statement. That's the safe system of work, or I'll call it safe methodology that they are carrying out their activities. We also have qualifications and training records of their staff, because this is a specialist company. They are specialized companies, and they should have a specialized training for the activities which they are carrying out. We also have some professional affiliations to professional organizations. Mostly we have the IOSH, we have the OSPA, we have the IIRSM. They are all professional memberships that promote health and safety. This can be like an add-on. We also have requirements in terms of maintenance of their equipment, their tools, how they are following up plant preventive maintenance. It is very important as well. Then most importantly, we have a section for reference, because we have to refer to their previous clients. What was their performance on site, not only in terms of quality or their output, but in terms of their safety, compliance, and adherence to the safety protocols that they had to comply with. There's a section for accident record as well, where based on this, we will request for extra documentation to see the trend analysis of all the near misses, how, if they are being investigated and corrective actions have been put in place, what type of accidents that they have been getting at their places of work, and also a trend analysis of all of this. And then we also have records of enforcement actions from the legal authorities, because this is also important. And most importantly, we have adequate resources for health and safety, which one of the things that we prioritize is a health and safety professional who is qualified. So this is the first step of the selection process in order to make sure that we have the right subcontractor. Now, another thing is, since they are carrying out specific tasks in the site, now we go in for specific risk assessment, not just the general risk assessment that they have submitted during the pre-qualification process, but now a specific risk assessment and safe methodology for that activity which they intend to carry out. It is very important. So we know how they are going to go about it. Added to this, we need specialized training, specialized competency training. I will give you an example. If we are taking a subcontractor to carry out an activity in a confined space, there are many requirements that have to be met. There are specific confined space training requirements. There are specific tools and equipment that have to be used in a confined space. There's a safe methodology to access and egress the confined space, which are some of the things that we will be verifying. And the final step is the contract. In the contract, we put it very clearly, the standard which they have to comply with, because we know we are in the UAE, we have a national standard for health and safety. We have the Dubai regulations, Dubai Municipality Code of Practice. We have the ADOSH in Abu Dhabi. You see that when you're moving from one emirate to another, you're seeing different standards. So we have to be clear that, for example, I am working in an organization based in Abu Dhabi. This is the standard which we follow. We are working based on the ADOSH system framework. You have to comply with this. And for our company, we always try to go above and beyond. So you have to agree, take an undertaking that you are going to comply with these standards. So this is the overall process that we use to make sure that we have selected the right subcontractor.
Yeah, this is a great share actually, and this kind of systems. I know some other companies use something very similar to this, and it helps to have a comprehensive and robust process in place, which you pay the right attention when you actually not just tick the boxes, but you actually screen the documentation they supply, when you check their records, when you request the proofs of what they do actually in fact, and not just answering everything yes, 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 just to get the job. If you do everything in the right way, and you have probably annual reviews with them about their performance, and checking their records and notes, inspections of their equipment, etc. For sure, this is a very helpful process how you can align them. One more note probably from my side, what I found very useful, because most of the cases, the subcontractors, they hire to perform the job on someone else's sites, usually like for the client or something. So it's very helpful if you can as well share with them the client standards of safety requirements, certain procedures which they want us to follow as well, because it doesn't limit it to the legal requirements or regulations, because some of the companies, they want the job to be performed in a certain way, or they have their own processes about permits to work or any kind of specific arrangements they want to have in place. So all of those must be shared in advance, so you can ensure, and they can ensure as well, as a party who will perform the job on site, so they can actually understand and they are able to provide and ensure compliance with those. One more note probably from my side, you're absolutely right about all of those screening forms and policies and procedures.
Yeah.
But I believe that the most, I would say, trigger and most important thing is not the documentation part, but actually the evidences that they have something in place, they have competent people, they do provide the trainings for their employees. Their employees are skilled and competent. Because I saw some examples when people requesting like, oh, are you certified? Oh, do you have a policy? Okay, you're in. But actually the fact that the company has a policy doesn't mean anything, because the policy doesn't save lives, right? So it doesn't help people to get the skills and knowledge. And it's very tricky now on the market when people are trying to get the jobs and orders, because they have a certain amount of the basics about safety, because as well the local regulations asking this for, right? But on the other hand, it's very easy now just to download something from the network, just to use some template for like 10 companies, the same policy or something like this, which actually is not reflecting the truth. And the fact that you have the policy doesn't mean that you take care about safety, doesn't mean that you train people, doesn't mean that you provide personal protective equipment to them, right? So it's more about actually more in-depth screening. And even though they might have no ISO certification or no policy, but they still can care about people, they still can provide all the personal protective equipment, and they can control the works in the right way. So I would say it's very important to find the balance and the right questions, so you can actually focus on important things which have a direct link to the safety performance of the job they do and people safety, as well as any kind of other like product safety or whatever it could be, than just focusing on the pages they share with you about how they establish their quite a system, I would say this way. Okay, then we're going to the next one. Can you share, you've shared quite a lot already about like the first stage of it, right? But it's just an initial one, right? Then all the fun starts a bit later. When they come to site, they start to do the work. Sometimes we hire a few subcontractors because we need to perform a different type of activities. You split the work, you delegate it to some professionals and what they do. And here where the tricky point comes to the field, where you need to manage them. You need to ensure that they actually follow all of those requirements which you've shared. As well, you need to manage sometimes a few of them at the same time, in the same field, in the same facility, and you need to do it in the right way. So none of them are actually a disaster to each other. They are aligned. They are not a hazard as well to each other, because there could be some works which are not compatible to perform at the same time in the same place. So can you share a few tips and your experience about how to manage the actual work on sites when it's performed by the subcontractors, especially in the project where multiple contractors are involved, and where it can be some kind of interaction and overlapping of the scope, and might be a biggest concern for people.
Okay, so thank you again. We have selected the contractor, the subcontractor, and we are good to go. The next phase is mobilization to the site. So I'll just give a brief of the system which we use. And this begins with onboarding process, which we call, the first step is the safety induction. We do a comprehensive health and safety induction for these subcontractors. And before these subcontractors come to site, we have many subcontractors as well. And the system which we operate in is that we have an appointed person from the client or the main contractor who is responsible for a certain number of subcontractors as the key person between the subcontractors and the main contractor. Also, for the subcontractor, we have a point of contact as well. It is very important to establish that. And for subcontractors that are going to be carrying out high-risk activities, we make sure that they have a health and safety representative. So this health and safety representative now is going to be a key person during our induction. We collect their documentation. Some of the documentations are, we need to make sure that they are legally permitted to stay in the country and work. We need to verify also their undertaking letter, that they are going to adhere to the safety standards, and most importantly, their insurance scheme, because as per our emergency procedure, we know where the nearest hospital is located from our project sites, and based on that, we will verify your insurance scheme or your medical insurance, to make sure that it is accepted in this hospital, so that in case of an emergency, in case of an incident, which of course we don't pray for, you can get immediate medical attention for incidents that cannot be handled by the site nurse. Once we have verified all of this, we conduct a site-specific induction process based on your activity. We give you an overall scope of the project. We explain to you our emergency procedures, the contact numbers, the key persons, and then we go now into the specificity of your activities that you're going to be carrying out. What are the hazards that you're likely to encounter? What are the risks? What are the precautions that we have put in place? And what further control that you need to take care of from your side? And all of this is based on the previously shared risk assessment and safe methodology that we have received from these subcontractors. So we do this tailored specific induction process for them. Now, after the induction process before they begin their activity, we make sure that they are also briefed on the work permit systems and the things that have to be put in place. Once this has been done, we make sure that they understand who is the permit issuer and who has the authority to sign the permit before this activity can begin. We introduce them to toolbox talks, and these toolbox talks have to be conducted by the supervisor or the safety personnel, depending on their system. And then we also carry out daily inspections on all the subcontractors. We have weekly safety and management work on all the subcontractors, which is a whole team from the management of our main contractor, the consultants. We carry out these weekly inspections, and these subcontractors are also involved in this process. We identify areas of defect, and we hold a meeting later on to advise them on how they can improve to prevent any accidents from occurring in the site. This is during the safety meetings, which we involve them as well. Then we have separate areas or separate times for meeting with just the subcontractors. And then during these meetings, we do what we call exchange of information. This now comes in because we have multiple subcontractors inside, and they have to understand their activities where it is conflicting. Like, we cannot have a scaffolding subcontractor carrying out scaffolding erection, and we have a subcontractor that are laying bricks working directly below that. So the work activities have to be well coordinated and planned. such that we don't have this kind of activities occurring at the same time. Then we have massive toolbox talks that we involve them as well, so that they are versed with the culture for the site. We have reward and recognition programs, like where I'm currently working now. There's a mechanism like we have a trophy system where the trophy goes from subcontractor to subcontractor every month based on their performance. Like, this was the best subcontractor of the month. We give them the trophy as an incentive to motivate them to keep up and improve. And this has really brought in a lot of competition. It has increased the level of compliance that we are getting in our project. So this is just a few of the mechanisms that we put in place to make sure that these subcontractors are well monitored and they are working in line with the safety requirements of the site.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing this. Actually, all the steps are really critical and crucial. It seems like a proper management system behind it, where you actually interact with all different stakeholders. You always keep an eye on what they do, how they perform. You as well pay attention on the cultural aspects and behavior as well. You have a leadership commitment element where you invite and involve the supervisors and management team into all of those inspections, etc. And you try to motivate and engage people, which is really, really great. And once again, it makes sense to highlight that the communication is a key here, because main, I would say, amount of accidents happens on sites, not just when the behavior, the safety behavior is lacking, but as well when there is misunderstanding or miscommunication between stakeholders, and someone starts to do something they haven't got approval before, or they didn't ask to support with, and that's how it all happens. So it's very critical to be aligned, to stay in line, to understand what's the plan for each of the day in each of the areas, so you can perform the job safely, because it's not just about what you do in the area, but as well what others people do, and they can be not under your scope of responsibility, right? It can be some other company subcontractor, and they do painting as an example, and you need to do the welding works in the same area, but you can't do it at the same place, right? So that's why it's very important to be aligned, and not just within your scope, but as well on a wider, where probably the main contractor mostly takes the responsibility to control this, and I would say alignment process, right? But the communication and planning is really crucial factors in this. Thank you for sharing. So for sure, there are lots of big companies and big subcontractors who are long time on the market, who are doing really like big jobs, big chunks of activities in the project. However, as well, there are some small companies exist on the market, and they are not so experienced, or probably they are, but their business is quite limited, and they have limited resources, limited budget, limited people. So what about them? So how small subcontractors with limited resources and budget still can meet the safety requirements and ensure the compliance?
So if you look at the system that we have in place, you will see that it is designed to incorporate everyone, even the subcontractors that are not able to get this a safety management system or a safety personnel. Like, based on the legal requirements, there is a cutoff point at which all organizations, they are supposed to have a robust safety system. They are supposed to have health and safety representatives employed. But still yet, we have some other companies, like a good example is end of contract cleaning. Like, after our projects, we have cleaning services coming in to do deep cleaning. Mm-hmm. So they have their scope of work, their risks is not that much, it's not that high, and as well, their manpower is not that much as well, that we can request them to get a health and safety representative. So as part of our pre-qualification process, there is a provision for a section where, in case you do not have this health and safety requirements, it's like a checkbox. You tick the checkbox, and next you are going to agree that you are going to comply to our project requirements as much as it is applicable to your scope of work. And added to that, you need to make sure that all your workforce, they have a competent supervisor who is going to be the point of contact between the subcontractor and the main contractor in case we need anything, or in case we want you to adjust an unsafe act or an unsafe condition which we have identified. But mostly for all of our subcontractors, mostly we provide them the safe place of work in such a way that they just have to comply with. They just mostly have to bring their tools and make sure that their tools are properly inspected and in the good condition. They have to provide PPE for their workers. So some of these smaller subcontractors, in my experience, they don't really have that much to comply with because we are already providing them like the safe access requirement, the safe egress requirement, safe working platforms. They just have to comply with those requirements that have been made available for them. So a key factor which we consider here is the supervisor who is going to be in charge of these subcontractors. So in that way, you see that we are open to welcome everyone, and we hope that, of course, as the subcontractor expands, they can now be able to get health and safety representatives to build a safety management system. Because end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you have just one employee. You have that duty of care to make sure that everyone comes to work and go back home safe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the purpose of safety and value of it for the business as well. I fully agree with you that you can still design the system which will be flexible for people based on their resources and budget and their activity scope as well. And as I always say, you don't need to have the most fancy solution, right? So it's not about investing a huge amount of money. So you can still have a simple, suitable things in place which still will work and make the purpose like to protect people, right? So if you have a good planning where you don't need much resources, but you need competent people to have in place, so you can ensure the plan is a good one and it's like maintained in the right way as well. All about like safety gears, etc. You don't need to have the most fancy solutions, but you still have to have them in a good quality, right? So as well, there are different options how you can ensure this, even if your budget is limited or your resources like human resources, etc. You still can spread the responsibility, assign proper people who has competence and skills to ensure that the work goes in the right way. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I think the last question from my side is about quite which is, I think, the most tricky one for everyone who works with the subcontractors, because if you work constantly with like your own labor, with your own people and personnel, you always have an opportunity to control, to check, to analyze and improve your own system, right? But if you work with the subcontractors, sometimes you use the same people in companies, sometimes you have different people involved and subcontractors involved into your business. And the challenge here, in my eyes, is how to ensure that you actually have some improvements about safety when you deal with the subcontractors, because sometimes they assign for a short period of time, then they leave, and then they back in a year after, and you still need to understand like how you can make it better working this time than the previous one, right? Or did they improve actually? So how what do you think about this one? How people can support this part of the process?
Like for me, what we do is we have an annual objectives and target plan. And this annual objectives and target plan, it is linked to our key performance indicators, which we use to track our health and safety performance. So this objective and target plan, we have a section which is assigned for subcontractors. We monitor their performance as well based on leading and lagging indicators, which they are performing at the site. And at the end of their contract, I would say maybe they came for 1 month, maybe they came for a year, maybe they came for 6 months, 3 months. We have a trend analysis based on the inputs that we have been receiving from the subcontractors and based on our own observations as well. So based on this, we develop a trend analysis, and we have like an exit meeting before each subcontractor leaves our site. We have an exit meeting We discuss their performance in terms of health and safety. We show them where they have had their shortcomings and where were their strengths and how they supported us. We appreciate the work that they have done for us, but we feel that maybe this is the areas where they need to do some improvements while they are going in other sites. And also, we give them the opportunity to give us feedback based on our standards, which we have. Like if you feel like there's any gap, or maybe there's an area where we need to improve or we need to be a little bit flexible, their feedbacks are always welcome for our improvements as well. And finally, we always encourage them to make sure that the standard which they have gotten from our project site or our standards, they should make sure that they go out there with the same standards. Maybe they might go to another organization, another client that is having a lower standard. It doesn't mean they should go and now drop on that standard. They should maintain their standard. They should always strive for the best standards, because end of the day, it's not only about meeting the legal requirements. We strive to go above and beyond. So this is what we do.
Yeah, and this is very actually useful process which you just described. I feel that it's kind of a project summary evaluation of the performance of the subcontractors, where you can have a proper business dialogue with them, highlighting what was good, what was bad, where they need to improve, and probably set up a plan together or give a proper transparent feedback to them about what do you expect, where they failed, where they were doing really great, and you are happy about this. So they can as well understand their gaps and I would say kind of mistakes or something, and they can have an opportunity to address these gaps and findings, and probably rethink about how they can improve processes, so they can as well develop their business on a different level and safety bar as well. So they can work with the more interesting clients, or they can get the bigger projects just because they're improving, right? So this is very important. This is where I feel is as well a driver of a partnership, right? Because this is a two-way road where you develop the long-term relationship between the parties, and as well the safety is one of these areas of your dealing, right? So actually this one is very, very important. What I found very useful as well through my journey, we had as well on some basis like annual meeting with the suppliers, where you actually can include as well, like you can initiate a separate one for like health and safety workshop, or you can just include it into agenda for the annual overall suppliers meeting. And I feel it's very good point where you can get everyone in the same place, and you can address them all the issues and concerns which you faced during like your partnership and work with them. What different accidents happened, why this happened, where you feel you have some concerns and we need to address them. As well, it's a good point where the other people can think about what happened, and just to check if something similar is in their scope of work, where they need probably to pay more attention. As well, it's a good point where you can rely about expectations, and they can see and witness that everyone are under the same conditions. Everyone is respected, and anyone has this transparent communication about the level of expectations. They all treated the same way. So they are not like the exceptions who push towards something outstanding, but which they can't reach to, right? But they all treated as a partners, and they still can address as well their concerns and issues which they face during our projects, because it's a two-way road, right? So we request something from them, and they as well need to get something from us, so they can have an opportunity to perform the job in the right way, right? It's about resources, it's about budget, it's about probably cooperation and planning as well. Probably they need more time to arrange the resources, or to react on some changes within the business, or the requirements from the client, etc. So this is kind of a partnership which you might build if you work and put your efforts toward this, which is very, very useful, I think, and critical as well for the business and the long-term relationship with people.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's absolutely right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other tips or something you would like to share with our people as well? I want to mention that Wilson actually recently launched his own platform. If you can give us a few words about this one, this is super cool. This is something for UAE specific and safety professionals. Very valuable, very interesting. If you can give us a few words about this one, that could be really nice.
So LifeLine is a quizcast platform which is going to be focused on safety quizzes and podcast sessions, just like we are doing right now. It's all about sharing knowledge. So I have a vision that when you're studying, you don't always have to be that serious. So the quizzes are going to be very fun and engaging. That is a section which I'm still actually working on. So that will soon to be launched. But for the webinars and the podcasts, that is ongoing. Like of recently, I just concluded the electrical safety series, and I'm currently on a back to basics series where actually today I have part 2 of that series, which is going to be focused on incident investigation. We are not going that deep into the technicalities. We are just making it very basic for every person that can just open their minds. They will understand, because it's all about promoting health and safety. It's all about bringing people in the field as well. This Lifeline also recently, I launched a new initiative, which is called the Pay It Forward initiative, which is all about sponsoring health and safety professionals, aspiring health and safety professionals to come into the field, and we see how we can support them to integrate and live in their dream careers. So it's all about keeping the workplace safe, bringing more people in, and seeing how we keep them up to date with their knowledge and supporting them. And for this specific initiative, we need sponsors, but this time it's not just about the finances. We need very special sponsors to be able to create job opportunities for these entry-level health and safety professionals, because when they get these certificates, it's very difficult for them to integrate. So we need sponsors, like people that will say we can employ them, we can give them the opportunity to grow in the new career
And
that they have just chosen.
Yeah, this is a very cool one. Actually, Wilson is doing a great job about engage people into our profession, to as well support them, guide them, and mentor them through their journey. And actually, he's very carefully choosing the candidates for this program who actually want to have a powerful impact for people's life. They actually passionate about what they do. They have a proper mindset for this profession. So I'm sure that this program will have lots of success, and any kind of support for these passionate newcomers into our profession for their starting journey is very, very helpful and very important.
Yeah.
So they can gain the experience and they can contribute back their knowledge and skills, which Wilson and other trainers are sharing with them during this program. So much appreciated for this one. I'm sure that this is a really game-changing point for some of the people who would like to get into profession and really make a value for people in business. This is super cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So aside from that, I just wanted to say a few words, like a phrase which I used to use in most of my LinkedIn posts. I always say health and safety is a journey that you have to lead with intention. We have to be intentional about everything we do. It's not always about the money. You have to look beyond the people that you have a duty of care over them. You have to look deep into their families, look deep into the people that are depending on these people. You have to make the right decision at every point in time. So I just want to encourage all the health and safety professionals out there. There's one thing that I really focus on, especially when I'm doing my training, on the moral aspect of health and safety. You are a human before you are a health and safety professional. You just have to make sure that that human aspect is always there to care for people. So that is just what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Absolutely. You can't just ask people to follow the rules and requirements, right? People need to want to do this. And our job mostly to work with people's hearts and minds. So that's the only way how you can change their attitude, their behavior, their decisions based on what they do this and what kind of a value they put into their jobs, etc. So this is very important point. This is an absolutely focus and core in what we do as safety professionals. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us today. It was a really valuable session. I'm sure that all of the safety professionals who will watch this series, they will be really getting new knowledge, and they will get your experience as well. They will have lots of things to think about how they can improve their current systems and work the subcontractors. They would have as well the understanding about what we do and how they can solve their challenges, which was very, very useful. Thank you so much for being with us today. I wish you best of luck with your platform as well, with all those initiatives which you actually having on your table right now. I'm sure there is a great success behind it. Looking forward to see all of those lovely programs going forward and developing on the next level. And for sure, we're staying in touch for our next series and next questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.